Good morning, fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for January 6th, 2025. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Boy, we had quite the weather across the country this weekend. Hope everyone is safe. How about we take a look at these markets and see how we might want to approach the market for today. First off, let's take a look at what happened overnight. We had Asian markets last night mostly lower. We saw Shanghai down 0.14%. The Nikkei was, the Hong Kong was down 0.36%. India was down pretty sharply, 1.62%. The Nikkei lower. South Korea struggling last night. And we all had Australia being one of the only Asian markets to squeak out a gain up 0.08%. If we take a look at European markets this morning, European markets are moving boldly higher here this morning, fueled mostly on the Foxconn revenue jump and TSM making some big moves. So chip stocks leading the way. The DAX is up 229 points or 1.18%. FTSE's up 1.2% and the CAC is up 1.72%, strongly higher. That's also pushing and reversed initial opening of the futures last night. We've got the Dow futures up this morning, 0.33% or 125 points here at this very second. We've got the S&P 500 futures are right now up 38 points, and the NASDAQ futures up 197 points, again, led by the tech sector. If we take a quick look at oil prices here this morning, we've got oil moving slightly higher. Oil futures are up $27 cents a barrel at 74.22 a barrel. Brent prices are also up at 76.76 a barrel. Natural gas this morning is moving higher as well, with a big bounce back up here, up 29 cents. If you take a look at XLE on that oil, we're making that first run back up after a major slide. I think any rest or pullback could set up an opportunity there. If we take a look at precious metals here this morning, we look at gold. Gold is making a little bit of a pop back up here. Right now up $4.50 an ounce in the futures. We've got silver futures. Let's get to silver moving up here. We've got silver futures also up pretty sharply here this morning. Right now up 76 cents. Pretty strong move there in silver futures. If we take a look at other precious metals, we got copper. Copper's making a move up here from this bottoming pattern. We might want to be keeping an eye on that. We've got platinum and palladium moving higher this morning. So we've got a little precious metal activity going on here today that we'll want to be keeping an eye on. If we take a look at the crypto markets here this morning, well, Bitcoin having a good day this morning, up $943 a coin, pushing back up toward that 100,000 level. Ether is also up this morning, $14.17 a coin, $14.17 a coin. And we got a mix, but mostly bullish in those crypto markets here this morning. So, what does all that mean for the day? Well, oh, you know what? We forgot. We better take a look at those bonds, because one problematic thing we've got going on here this morning is those bonds are moving higher. The 2-year bond right now is at 4.26%, the 10-year 4.59%, and that 30-year 4.81%, as the bond market continues to show worry or disagreement with the bullishness here in the market, worried about inflation and possible tariffs on the way. So now what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Monday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a peek at these index charts and see if we can figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, we want to take a look at these charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be, meaning we want to shake off that bias and really take a good solid look at these charts. Well, first off, if those bulls can continue to find inspiration that we're feeling here this morning, you can see right now we're trying to break out of this downtrend here in the chart. We'll want to be watching that pretty closely. And if we can continue to pop on through that level, well, you can see the next area of resistance is going to be maybe right up in here. We could push a little bit more and we could be back up here testing this resistance in the chart. We'll want to be watching that pretty darn closely because popping out of there could be really significant. Now, if the bears find any inspiration here on the day, well, a push back down maybe to test this area of price support, and then breaking back down below that trend would probably raise a little bit of concern. We could come back and maybe test some of these lows here in the diamonds chart if those bears find any inspiration. And if we take a look at our SPY, we're up here pushing in the pre-market, trying to break out of this downtrend. So if we can keep that bullishness going, pushing on through this level, and remember, this entire move right now is being led by tech, and what's going to be important is we actually see some follow through in breadth on this move because we've been lacking here in breadth lately. Watch that carefully. If we can break on through here and we can see those bulls push right up through the top of that candle, then we might have that opportunity to come up here, test this bigger resistance level in the chart. Breaking through that would be very significant for the bulls, and we'll want to be watching that closely. If we can see any action from the bears here today, well, I would say a pushback down maybe to test this area of price support after popping through in the morning. And then if the bears were to really get going, maybe they would fill that gap that we're creating here this morning, and then possibly start coming back and testing some of these areas of price support in the chart if those bears have anything to say. Now let's take a look at the QQQ. This is where the majority of things are being led. The big tech giants pushing pretty hard this morning. Back up here testing this downtrend here in the chart. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to break that downtrend, and then we can start pushing up here and see if we can test this resistance in the chart. Now remember, it's the rally back that we always have to worry about in these indexes. If we rally back and we create these lower highs like we did right here, that's where the trouble begins. So watch that carefully. If we can't pop on through there and start pushing up into this area, that's where we could have a little bit of, well, those bears might be watching this pretty closely for any clues that they could start selling again. If those bears do find that inspiration here on the day, push back down. Well, let's kind of keep an eye here on the low of this morning, see if we can push back down through there, and then of course we would be potentially moving on in to fill the gap and coming back into areas of support in the chart if those bears were to get going. And last but not least, we've got our Russell out there, IWM, trying to break through this downtrend here again this morning on the gap up this morning. We'll want to watch that pretty carefully. If they can continue that push, we've got a little price resistance maybe right in there. Push back up and start breaking through the middle of this big ugly dark candle here, and then we would start moving up toward these levels of the chart that we might see right through in here, pushing on up and up toward this overall downtrend going on in the IWM. And I do think that as we push up there might actually set up a short opportunity in the Russell. If we take a look at our VIX, Our VIX had a nice little pullback on Friday, coming back down into this price support area of the chart. And I'm guessing the gap up this morning that we're seeing in the market is going to continue that push to the downside. So let's watch and see if we can come back down and retest this upside trend, maybe even test this area of support here in the chart. Now beyond that would be a pretty strong statement that the bulls are absolutely not concerned about some of the circumstances that we have in the market, and maybe we could start easing up on some of this pressure. However, if those bears were to find any inspiration today, then pushing back or bouncing back up off of this area could keep us in this kind of rising, consolidating pattern in here. We'll want to watch that carefully if that starts coming into some additional fear and we see that push on up. And bonds right now kind of lead us to believe that that is a possibility. So keep an eye on that. If we take a look at our T20s, our T2122, well, we pushed really nicely on Friday, came up here, didn't quite make it to the middle of the range. So what that tells us is we've got about a 50-50 on this. Remember, this is the 4-week new high, new low ratio. With the big pop that we're seeing this morning, I'm going to expect us to shoot up here in our T2122. What's going to be important is, do we have breadth in this move, or is it going to be just a handful of select stocks making that move possible? But you'll want to keep in mind that we have about an equal opportunity in here. If those bears were to find inspiration in any of the data today, then we could push on back down. So kind of middle of the road here at the moment, so watch that closely. If we take a look at T2108, the percentage of stocks above the 40-day, well, we're going to need to see some love here. With the rally that we had on Friday, it didn't really translate into many stocks moving. It was mostly tech that was making the move, and you can see in here only about 25% of the stocks are holding above their 40-day moving average in the New York Stock Exchange. Now, if we can push up through here this resistance, that would be a good sign, and maybe we could start moving on up, testing some of these levels of resistance in the chart, moving back up toward that 50% area, which would be a massive win if we could get back up into that area of the chart. Now, our T2107, T2107 had a little bump up on Friday, but you can see also not really inspiring on that move on Friday. Though we saw the VIX fall so much, it was very select stocks that were moving up, and mostly the tech giants, and while everything else kind of struggled to find any kind of momentum. So we'll want to keep an eye on that. If those bulls can continue to push here this morning, and I suspect we'll get a nice pop on this here this morning, see if we can break through this area of resistance, and then we'll start pushing back up into this area. Now, one of the places that we've been watching here, and this is what I was talking about on Friday as we rallied, we actually saw the breadth of the market continuing to decline. So that could be just a function of the holiday. Everyone was just kind of extending their vacation kind of thing. Maybe we just didn't have enough people in there pitching for the market. But we'll want to watch this pretty closely, because if this big rally today is not accompanied by breadth, well, we may have a problem here, y'all. When we don't see breadth following a big bullish move, we want to be watching for a potential whipsaw. And we saw that the other day. And and it could easily be the case here today as well. We could gap up and then see those bears come back in. So watch for the potential whipsaw. Unless we can get this breadth starting to pick up on that bullish wave, this is going to give bears a bit of a sign that they could start taking over if we don't see that bullish breadth starting to pick up. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. Whoops. Got to learn to type. If we take a look at our economic calendar, well, we've got just a pretty light day in here with some Fed speak. You can see we've got Cook will be speaking here this morning. We're going to get a PMI composite final. Factory orders number in here today. Let's look at that PMI. They're looking for a 58.5 here on the services. So keep an eye on that. Composite, they didn't even give us an estimate here today. If we take a look at factory orders, they're looking for that to come in at a negative 0.4. So keep an eye on that. There is some concern on the slowing down of the economy, manufacturing in decline, so watch that carefully here today. And then we got a Treasury buyback announcement, some bond auctions, and that's it for the day. But remember, as we move through the week, it's going to be a week about jobs. We're going to have a lot of jobs numbers here. First off, on Tuesday, you can see we've got a job openings report. We're also going to get ISM international trade. On Wednesday, we'll be looking at an ADP report along with those mortgage applications, more Fed speak, petroleum status, natural gas report, and FOMC minutes coming on Wednesday afternoon. If we take a look at Thursday, those challenger job cut, jobless claims, Hawker will be speaking, and you can see we've got a parade of Fed speakers here on Thursday as we head into the employment situation here on Friday, probably the most notable report of the week, and consumer sentiment. Now, keeping in mind, although we've got all of this going on, all these Fed speakers and stuff on Thursday, keep in mind that New York Stock Exchange will be closed on Thursday. We've got a short week because of the National Day of Mourning for Jimmy Carter. So Thursday, the market will be closed. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar here for today. And our earnings calendar, very light, which is normal for this time of year. We've only got one notable report for today, CMC. CMC will be reporting before the bell. Keep an eye on that this morning. No notable reports for this afternoon. We do pick up on some earnings tomorrow, get a few more things going Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit more going on that earnings calendar. But remember, the official kickoff of earnings will not begin until the 15th of the month, when we get the big bank reports here on JP Morgan. So you want to keep in mind with that T2101, one of the reasons that T2101 may continue to be weak, and that's the breadth of the market, is the corporate buyback blackout period is well underway, and more stocks every day are going into that blackout period. So corporate buyback activity will cease here pretty soon. Any corporate buyback will cease here pretty soon, and that usually has a drawdown in the breadth of the market. So kind of keep that in mind. This time of year, it's pretty normal to see that occur. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful, helpful to your day, if you could do me that favor, click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. And by the way, I want to let everyone know I put this video out every day, but I got to tell you, it's as much for me as it is for anyone else. I started doing this myself 20 plus years ago because I had trouble with emotion in the market, and what I would do is I would see these futures gapping up and I would get all cranked up and I would jump ahead of the market trying to predict what was going to happen and follow through, end up catching whipsaws. I got beat up pretty heavily on that. So the purpose of the morning market prep is to help everyone kind of set their feet, be focused in on what the issues of the day are, making sure that you know what's coming in the pipeline, so that you're not surprised and you can do a better job in your trading. So thank you to everyone who supports this effort. I do truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. And remember, everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very careful in this market. And remember, everyone, that the volatility that we've seen here recently can be very challenging. So watch carefully and be cautious about chasing these gaps in the pre-market when breadth is so light. If we take a look, few stocks in here looking good, and I actually set a price alert here on Ralph Lauren. Really like the way Ralph Lauren is set up here. You can see we broke out of this little downtrend, continuing to hold in this uptrending move, just kind of that little resting pattern showing up in here with the bullishness of the day. Every reason to believe that could push on through here on Ralph Lauren. Keep an eye on that. That is looking pretty good overall. I'm not exactly sure why anybody cares much about GME. It's become such a meme and gamified stock out there, but I got to tell you, that's a bullish pattern setting up in here. So if you have any interest in that, keep an eye on GME for that possibility that could turn and push right around to the upside. You might want to be taking a look at TTWO. Nice move on Friday, breaking through this downtrend. Take-Two apparently has a new game coming out, and they're expecting sales to be huge on that, so watch that carefully. Popping through a little resting pullback in here, maybe even any kind of consolidation. Look for that opportunity, that breakout for that push to all-time highs. TTWO is another one that has been looking really good, and you can see we got that nice push here on Friday. Excuse me, it's TWLO. There we go, TWLO. Thank you for the patience. Pushing through this downtrend on Friday, looking good. I would keep an eye on this on Twillo. Follow through bullishness could easily see us breaking out to all-time highs here. Watch that closely. TWLO looking good. Been keeping an eye here on Cisco. Cisco's looking pretty decent in here. This nice little resting, consolidating pattern. I would watch that carefully for that potential pop on through to the upside, worth keeping an eye on. And I got to tell you, when it comes to the uncertainty of this market, it may be wise to be keeping a close eye on some of these inverse ETFs here in the market. Now, RWM pulling back, but we're still holding above that 50-day moving average. This is a pattern that we call a rounded bottom breakout pattern, and you'll want to watch that carefully, breaking through the downtrend in here, trying to hold. If those bears have anything to say, keep a close eye. At least put these on a list and watch. If they start perking back up, there may be some opportunities there. You might take a look at DOG on the Dow. That's also in a rounded bottom breakout pattern. Now SH is not there yet. It's this could be failing back down with the big tech push that we have going on, but I do think it is worth keeping an eye on these in case we do get that market shift or any kind of whipsaw in the market. Might be worth paying attention to. Let's take a look at Occidental. Now, Occidental is one of Warren Buffett's babies here right now. Very heavily invested in this, and we're getting a nice move here, breaking this downtrend here in the chart, and we're pushing up up through some resistance areas here. So as this pushes on through, watch this carefully up there. Hold of a higher low in here. I think there could be a really nice opportunity here in Occidental. Keep an eye on that. And there are quite a few in that area of the market. We looked at XLE doing the same kind of thing if you just want a basket of oil sector stocks. Nice little push up here. Notice that we're breaking through some resistance right here. So any rest or consolidation in here creates that higher low, and that follow through upside trend may be on the way on energy. Keep a close eye on that. And certainly the temperatures across the country are showing that possibility. The other place would be into natural gas. UNG, big pop here on UNG, and then we faded back hard. Getting a good move today as these cold temperatures really seem to be driving some demand here in natural gas. I would keep a close eye on that. Take a look at APA. APA is another one here in the energy sector, breaking through that downtrend. These are going to be in those rounded bottom breakout patterns. Keep a close eye on that as this continues to show that little resting in here. Look for that next opportunity for that to push on higher. FXI. Now, FXI is China's large cap ETF. Getting a big push here today. Obviously, China has been in a very bad situation here, and I really don't expect it to get a whole lot better over there in China for some time. But watch that carefully here. We're starting to get that potential where we could pop through that downtrend here. Any resting pullback in here, then if it can hold, then we'd look for that opportunity. Don't chase the pop through. We've seen it before. We get these big pop-ups and then they fade back. We need that proof of hold and that higher low, and then you've got something there that you can work with. Take a look at some of the crypto related stocks in here, like Robinhood. Robinhood making a nice move, pushing up through these all-time highs, possibly on a good bullish move today. Watch that carefully. You notice here that we did fail our trend, but we're resuming that trend right in here. So I have a reason to believe that could push on up. I saw Riot. Riot was also having a good day on Friday. Really big pop here, breaking through some resistance in the chart. Now, any kind of rest, consolidation, or pullback would set up an opportunity there in Riot and could potentially see that resumption of the upside trend. So there's a few stocks for you to be paying attention to today, a few things for you to be watching. Be real careful out there, everyone. I want to wish you all of the very best. Just remember, we've got a big jobs week, and remember, Thursday is closed. Y'all take care, be safe, have an awesome day. We'll see you right back here bright and early Tuesday morning. I wish you all the best.